Good morning to all. Sorry. The next topic is Six Sigma. It's a set of techniques and tools for process improvement. It was introduced by an American engineer, Bill Smith, while working with Motorola in 1970. So there are different methodologies used in Six Sigma. There are three major methodologies used within Six Sigma, all of which are composed of 5 sections. According to the 2005 book Juran Institute Six Sigma Breakthrough and Beyond by Joseph DeFeo and William Bernard, they are first one business process management, DMAIC and DMADV. So business process management, first one. Business process management or BPM is a discipline in operations management in which people use various methods to discover, model, analyze, measure, improve, optimize, and automate the business processes. Any combination of methods used to manage a company's business process is BPM. It enables the modeling, design, execution, and maintenance of business activities and the employees who manages them across different departments and physical locations. So what exactly the business process management system do? It does the following. That enables creating complex business process spanning different departments and locations, monitors and maintains processes to ensure optimal efficiency, modifies existing processes to enable changes to the process as the organization grows. Creating a BPM project or program and project implementation framework that is appropriate to all organizations and that will suit all circumstances is challenging, especially when organizations are not the same. Even if organizations were the same, the approach to the implementation of BPM varies enormously both from organizations to organizations and within the organizations. There are a total of 10 phases and 3 essentials in the framework. The phases are organization strategy, process architecture, launchpad phase, understand phase, innovate phase, people phase, develop phase, implement phase, realize the value phase, and sustainable performance. What is organizational strategy? It includes ensuring that the organization's strategy, vision, strategy goals, business and executive drives are clearly understood by the project team members. Whether the stakeholders expect short or long-term gains from this project. Is the value proposition of the organization clear and understood to everyone? It is important to understand that strategy is not a plan, but strategy is a purposeful process of engaging people inside and outside the organization in scoping out the new paths ahead. Second is process architecture. It is the means by which the organization enables a set of rules, principles, guidelines, and models for the implementation of BPM across the organization. The process architecture provides the basis for the design and the realization of BPM process initiatives. It is where the process, IT, and business architecture are brought into alignment. With the organization strategy. Third one is launchpad phase. It determines where to start and the framework will provide you with several ways of determining where and how to start. Process goals and visions need to be aligned with the organization strategy and the process architecture to ensure that they are enhancing or adding value to the strategy. Then comes the understand phase. This phase is about understanding enough of the current business process environment to enable the innovate phase to take place. It is essential that at least basic process metrics are gathered to allow for establishment of process baseline cost for future competitive purpose. Other essential steps are root cause analysis and identification of possible quick wins. There will be a need to identify implement quick wins along the way, as the business will not provide unlimited funding for process improvement projects. Innovate phase is considered as the creative phase of the project and often the most interesting. Why? Because it should not only involve the project team and the business, but also relevant stakeholders, both internal and external. Once the various new process options have been identified, there may be a need to run simulations, complete activity-based costing, conduct capacity planning, and determine implementation feasibility to enable the finalization of which options are the best. Then comes develop. This phase consists of building all the components for the implementation of the new process. It is important to understand that build in this context does not necessarily mean an IT build. It could involve the building of all the infrastructure, desktop, PC movements, buildings, etc. to support the people change management program and changes in the support of the people who executes the process. Then comes people. It is a critical phase of the framework and it could put the rest of the project at risk. It is not handled thoroughly and to a high standard. The purpose of the phase is to ensure that the activities, roles, and performance measurements match the organizational strategy and process goals. Implementation phase. This phase is where the rubber hits the road. It is where all aspects of the project takes place. The implementation plan are crucial as are rollback and contingency plans. Then comes realize the value. The purpose of this phase is to ensure that the benefits outcomes outlined in the project business case are realized. This phase basically compromises the delivery of the benefits realization management process and benefits realization reporting. Then comes the final phase, that is sustainable performance. It is absolutely essential that the project team works with the business to establish a process structure to ensure that continued process agility and improvements are sustainable. The considerable investments made in process projects must be maintained and enhanced over time. There are three essentials, starting with the leadership, project management, and people change management. So leadership, it's a point acknowledged by all the business process change experts that any change program must have the support of senior leadership or management to be successful. Project management, the project's risk will be significantly higher and organization risks missing out on many of the potential benefits that can be achieved from BPM. Then comes the people change management. There have been many articles written on why process improvement and BPM project failure occurs, and we do not propose to mention all the reasons here. However, there is a growing belief that the personal aspects of an improvement project has not always been addressed in sufficient details. Then comes DMAIC. So the DMAIC method is usually or used primarily for improving existing business process. The letter stands for define the problem and the project goals, measure in details the various aspects of the current process, analyze the data to, among other things, find the root defects in the process, improve the process, control how the process is done in the future. Then comes DMAIC. It's typically used to create new processes and new products or service, define the project goals, measure critical components of the process and the product capabilities, analyze the data and develop various designs of the process, eventually picking the best one, design and test details for the process, verify the design by running simulations and pilot program, and then handing over the process to the client. There are also many different management tools used within Six Sigma. Some examples like 5 ways. This method uses the questions. Typically, it contains around 5 questions to get to the root cause of the problem. This method is simple. That is, simply state the final problem, like, for example, the car wouldn't start. I was late to work again today. And then ask the question why, breaking down the issue to its root cause. In these two cases, it must be because I didn't maintain the car properly and because I need to leave my house early to get to work on time. Then comes CTQ tree, that is critical to quality. It breaks down the components of a process that produces the features needed in your product and services if you wish to have a satisfied customers. Then last one is root cause analysis. Much like the 5 whys, this is a process by which a business attempts to identify the root cause of the defects and then correct it, rather than simply correcting the surface symptoms. All the Six Sigma tools and methodologies serve one purpose: to streamline business process to produce the best products and services possible with the smallest number of defects. Its adoption by corporations around the globe is an indicator of its remarkable success in today's business environment. The different roles of Six Sigma. Starting with yellow belt. Anybody can be an yellow belt Six Sigma candidate, because the professional who works on the projects, they need just an awareness of Six Sigma. There is no need for any training. Anyone can. Second level, the green belt, operates in direction of black belts, trained to analyze and solve quality problems. 2 weeks of training in methods and basic statistical tools. Then comes the third black belt. He will be the team leader, capable of explanation of Six Sigma principles and procedures, training in team leadership. He will get an approximately 4 to 5 weeks of training. Then comes the most top position or role, master black belt. He will be an expert in Six Sigma methods and tools, responsible for training to others to the green, black belt levels, responsible for maintaining integrity. It is the highest certification in Six Sigma, and they will help or assist the champion with implementation. Champion, he is the one who translates the organization's visions, missions, goals, objectives, metrics, etc. And he will make the resources available whenever it is necessary and avoid the roadblocks or obstacles which face the organization. He is the one who resolves or solves the cross-functional issues or conflicts arises in the organization. Finally, executives. They establish a strategic focus, ensure Six Sigma with the context of organization's culture and vision.
Next is about critical path method. CPM or critical path method is a project network analysis techniques used for predicting the project duration. So what is critical path means? It's a series of activities that determines the earliest time which the project can be completed. So when you are creating the critical path, after calculating the duration which comes as the longest path through the network is considered as a critical path, or in other words, which does not have any slack. That means the slack is 0. What is slack? Slack means the difference between the latest start time and earliest start time, or latest finish time and earliest finish time. So how to find the critical path? Once if you get the data, maybe the data you will get it in table, or sometimes directly you will get the network diagram. So example like the task, the predecessors and the dependents, or predecessors or dependencies, and the duration. So from the data you received, like the task, its dependencies and duration, first you want to develop a project network diagram, and you need to add all the duration for all the activities in each path throughout the project network diagram. Then from calculate or determine how many paths are there from the start to the finish. Calculate the total number of duration or total weeks, total duration. Which one you find the longest path will be considered as the critical path. So here in the first example, we have from start 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. There are two paths available. So here the question is how many paths are on the network. We can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. How long each path? The first path, that is A equal to 2, B equal to 5, C equal to 2 and E equal to 1. So how much it will be? 2 plus 5, 7 plus 2, 9 plus 1, 10. The first path is 10, and the second path 2 plus 5 plus 7 plus 2. That is 7 plus 7, 14, 14 plus 2, 16. Which is a critical path? We already know that which is the longest path will be critical path. The first path is 10 and second path is 16. So second path is the critical path. And what is the shortest amount of time needed to complete this project? That is 10 days. And see here, in this case, how many paths we are having? We can have 5 paths. First path is A, D, H, J. The total length is 14. Second, B, E, H, J. The total length is 16. Third one is B, F, J. The total days is 19. And path 4, C, G, I, J. The total length is 14 days. So here the critical path is BEHJ because it is having the longest path 16 days, or the longest duration, that is 16 days. Then the activity time estimates the difference between PERT and CPM. CPM, the critical path requires only one time estimate. That means in the critical path or in the critical path diagram, they will give you the time duration. So we can tell that the activity times are certain, or decision making under certainty. Sometimes the time will not be given. That is, during that time we will calculate the total duration or the expected time by PERT, that is program evaluation and review techniques, when the activity times are uncertain or decision making under risk or uncertainty. So in PERT, since the time is not been given, we need minimum 3 times estimates, and they are: one is optimistic time, the best time if everything goes perfectly; realistic time, the most likely time for the activity; and pessimistic time, the worst case situation. For example, if I start the class from 4 to 6, the best time to start is 4 o'clock. Most likely time of the activity is 4:30, 4:45, depends. And the worst time is I can start the class even at 5:59 also, that is before 6. So in order to find the expected time, the optimistic time plus 4 times realistic time plus pessimistic time divided by 6. Then the next topic is about quality function development. So it is also called as QFD, which is nothing but a method of transferring the customer expectations or the customer needs into the technical specification. So there are 4 stages: design stage, analysis stage, development stage, and full launch stage. So what is in the design stage? During the design, develop strategy, idea generation and screening, service package or product architecture formulation, product feasibility, Then in analysis phase, detailed review of market potential and production cost. So development phase, detailed specification, process design, marketing, program design, personnel training, testing and pilot runs, and then comes the full launch, market promotion, sales personnel briefed, distribution process activated, old service or products withdrawn, production of new offering and ramp up. Suppose if any stage, that is for example in analysis stage, if the service or product is not profitable, again you are going back to design phase. Need to rethink the new offering or production process, again you are going back to design. Or post-launch review, if again we need some more changes, again we are going back to the design stage.
Then comes COVID. The difference between or comparing COVID with CMMI. What is COVID? COVID means Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. So COVID-5 is a leading framework for the governance and management of enterprise IT. The framework links businesses and IT goals while helping users to become more thorough in addressing the risk management. And CMMI will provide a roadmap for developing, improving, and sustaining the business performance. Plan to organize, acquire and implement, deliver and support, monitor and the COVID process addresses by CMMI are COVID for plan and organize. Relationship with CMI provides better support for objective with a greater project focus such as requirements, risk, quality, and project management. Acquire and implement provide excellent coverage for achieving and implementing objectives. Delivery and support. Project management process can be translated to support management of service level, third parties, capacity, etc. Last one, monitor. Provides for monitoring functions at the project level, does not involve audit control at the organization level. Next topic, that is about root cause analysis or RCA. So we can tell root cause analysis is a systematic process for defining the root causes, that is the basic fundamental problems or events and an approach for responding to them. RCA is based on the basic idea that effective management requires more than merely putting out fires for problems that develop but finding a way to prevent them. So in root cause analysis, we are not going to solve the problems where we find it. Instead of that, we are going to identify where the problem originates. That means the root cause or the root of the given problem and analyze them, find alternative solutions, and then try to solve. So here in this picture, it is very clear that in the above the system, like if you remember the Titanic film, you can find above the sea level, you can find a small piece of ice, whereas under that, you can find it's like a mountain. So above the surface, you see the symptoms of the problems, whereas that of going in deeper to find the root cause of the goals of root cause analysis, to analyze problems or events, to identify what exactly happened, how it happened, why it happened, so that we can have the actions for preventing its reoccurrence can be developed. It's not an one-size-fits-all methodology. There are many different tools, there are many different processes and philosophies for accomplishing the root cause analysis. So it is originated to analyze various organizational activities such as accident analysis or occupational safety and health, quality control, efficient business process, engineering and maintenance failure analysis, various system-based processes including change management and risk management. The principles focusing on corrective measures of root causes is more effective than simply treating the symptoms of the problem or event. That is why, which I mentioned to you already, that the symptoms will be very small, but its causes may be too big. So root cause analysis is performed most effectively when accomplishing through a systematic process which concludes backed up by evidence. There is usually more than one root cause for a problem or event. The focus of investigation and analysis through problem identification is why the event occurred and not who made the error. Basic methods: define the problem, gather information, data and evidence, identify all the issues and events that contributing to the problem, determine the root causes, identify recommendation or recommended actions for eliminating or mitigating the reoccurrence of the problems or results, implement the identified solution. What is quality management system? So it can be considered as a formalized system that documents, process, procedures, and responsibilities for achieving the quality policies and objectives. Or we can tell it helps to coordinate and direct the organization's activities to meet customer regulations, requirements, and improve its effectiveness and efficiency on contribution or continuous basis. So in order to establish and implement the QMS, design, build, deploy, control, measure, review, and improve. Some of the benefits. So it can be defined for improving and controlling the process. It can use to reduce the waste, prevent mistakes, lower the operational cost. It can facilitate and identify training opportunities, engaging the staff, setting organization-wide directions, communicating a readiness to produce consistent results, etc. The principles: customer focus, leadership, people's engagement, process approach, improvement, and evidence-based decision making, as well as relationship management. The 9 core elements of QMS: quality objectives, quality manual, organizational structure and responsibilities, data management, processes, customer satisfaction with product quality, continuous improvement, quality instructions or quality instruments, document control. So what is quality objectives? The creation of quality objectives is a common requirement for quality management system standards. So what is the use of objectives? It encourages the organizations to define the strategic goals and purpose for quality management system. These objectives will translate the organizational visions into practice by creating a link between customer requirements and specific measurable and attainable goals. Second is manual. It is a documentation. Simply we can, it's a documentation. And it states that the motivation for adopting QMS framework and the role of quality within the organization. Comes organizational structure and responsibilities. So in the quality management system, it will be very clear that it should include the organizational structures and responsibilities of all the individuals of the organization. Like, for example, if you can able to provide these roles and responsibilities with the help of some diagrams or flowcharts or clear documentation, that will be really helpful for the employee. Then comes data management. As everybody knows, data is the core of modern approaches to total quality management. The quality of data and availability of data, access power, we can tell. The data quality and availability are critical to the success of QMS. To drive so this data availability and data quality will be can be used for continuous improvement and preventive quality control activities. If the organization contains ineffective data or ineffective data management practices, automatically it can experience inconsistent product quality, operating inefficiencies, risk, poor customer satisfaction, and finally a low process. And QMS generally use the process-driven approaches to quality control and quality assurance. If you want to maintain the standards for quality management, the organizations should identify and define all organizational processes which use any resource to transform inputs into outputs. Customer satisfaction with the product quality. We can tell that this is considered as the core component of QMS. That is, to monitor the customer satisfaction so as to determine if quality objectives are achieved. Some standards sometimes may not explain you the specific methods for measuring customer satisfaction, since the definition of product quality and availability data can vary significantly between organizations, and also it is very difficult, sometimes very difficult to get the customer response. Then comes CI or CPI, continuous process improvement or continuous improvement. Continuous improvement and adaptations are necessary for organizations to drive benefits with the QMS and maintain customer satisfaction. Then comes quality instruments. The control and calibration of tools used to measure are integral to the success of quality management system. If machines or equipments are used to validate the products or process, this equipment must be carefully controlled and calibrated according to the industry standards. Depending on the instrument, this could involve periodic calibrations or calibration before every. Then comes document control. According to ISO, document in a quality-driven organization is very wide. Some of the records like communication for evidence for QMS conformity and knowledge sharing. As a conclusion, quality management system dictates standards for the type of determination which are necessary to support quality management at a minimum, which may not be reflective of all the documents needed for accurate quality control, which generally includes quality objectives, quality manual, procedures, process documents, and record keeping. Document management system must contain all evidences necessary to provide or to prove the QMS performance objectively.